Hey there, it's another day, and I wanted to show you the next step in this latest sows here. First off, I've watched that wonderful video by James Edge, which I've included in the accompanying remarks about dressing up. So I've got a good suit on today because dressing up just makes me feel better. Not that I needed feeling better, but here we are. So moving on with it. If you remember, I had explained the steeking again, and I explained the canvassing, and also that I had thinned out the back a little bit, not terribly much, but again, enough to reduce the bulk. And I'm quite pleased with it because, as you can see, my canvas, my standard width is 5 inches. So I thinned it to 5.5. And the net effect is that we don't feel any transition above and on either side of this, so it's going to be more comfortable for the customer. And of course, using herringbone stitch, which will give slightly in this direction, but not in this direction, and the proper, shall we say, lacing. Now, the end of the inside apron, I've got it basted. I'm going to back up a bit here so you can see more. Basted down to hold it in place against the time that I put the top band on. It's holding it correctly positioned, and then the herringbone stitching at the inside apron. And this is important because when the strap is attached, which will be like that, but incidentally, I always put my straps on the outside of the inner apron. And the reason why is this gives us flexibility when it comes to fitting and adjustments in the future. If the person puts on or takes off a little bit of weight, starts doing sit-ups or ceases doing them, whatever, is that when it's mounted on the outside, I can easily move it to suit, right? If it's on the inside, not so much, because to adjust this, I would have to take the lining out and pull it back, and that's not very efficient. But by doing this generous herringbone of the width of the overlap, the deep fold, or whatever we want to call it, this has sound engineering principles because the tension on the strap, instead of just being communicated in a straight line to the canvas, which would create a load point right there, we're still getting that load point, but it's also distributed, I should say, across this pit. This is like a foundation. We're distributing the tension there, and it's going to be more comfortable, and it's going to look better from the outside. It's not going to be pulling out of the way so much. Moving over to the buttonhole, because a gentleman had asked me, get that out of the way, a gentleman had asked me why I didn't do the outside apron until later. Well, remember how I'd explained that I've sewn the steeking through and through here, but it only appears on the other side for about 1 inch, and that's going to be hidden by the apron when it's shaped. But again, I've left the apron undone so that I can do this. The outer apron canvas is in place and is butted up against this seam. In fact, it's slightly overlapping. The end of that canvas is going to be about there underneath. So I had determined where the end of this first pleat is, and I had done that by just taking a pin and sticking it through from the other side. So using the pin to show me where to mark. So by stitching on this side of the mark, there's no chance of me having a visible stitch on the outside of the kilt. Now, I've stuck a strap in there just to refer to, and I'm going to do the same lacing that I did here. I'm going to do it here to the white mark, and then backstitch, and then do it down there. And that is going to attach the canvases to each other, and also these two bits of tartan cloth, because that creates about as strong a seam as can be done, really. Because with this herringbone stitching on either side, even if I'm just sewing it to the canvas is, even if I'm just sewing it to the tartan's attached to the canvas. So this is quite strong indeed. So from here, I'm going to do that. So do that lacing, as it were, and then I'm going to flip it over, shape the front apron, and carry on from there. Cheers.